Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Cadellis. I'm at Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week on First and North, there's the crew. The voice of the Lions from Fox 2 in Detroit, Dan Miller. From Fox 6 in Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. And he's back from Fox 9, Minneapolis, Ahmad Hicks. Let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture as we speak. After the Bears win and Packers lost last Sunday, Bears and Packers flip spots. Bears now the 2 seed in first place in the NFC North. Packers fall to the 7 seed and second in the division. Lions still in the hunt, but work to do after losing in Los Angeles. Vikings were eliminated from playoff contention, and they took the Cowboys down with them as well after winning in Jerry's World Sunday night. Let's start off with Lily. All right, Lily, help me understand what happened to Green Bay. I'm watching the game. Packers led by 9 in the third quarter Sunday at Denver. I thought they were going to end the Broncos' 10-game win streak, hand Denver its first home loss in a year, and then the nightmare started. Is Green Bay, Milwaukee, Madison, Brookfield, Wisconsin, all of Wisconsin still in shock after what happened?
I think everybody's kind of coming down, but if you guys remember that Packers-Seahawks game where the Packers blew it, it was that level of, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yeah,
you mentioned it, Lou.
2014 NFC Championship, right?
Yes, it was that level of what is going on. In one quarter, the Packers, gave up the lead to the Broncos, which at the end of the day, it's a loss. It stinks. Bears back in first place. All that is not good for Green Bay, but they lost more than just the game. You lose Micah Parsons for the season with a torn ACL. He is a generational player, had such a phenomenal first season in Green Bay, gets to Green Bay in August and has 12.5 sacks. But when we all saw that knee buckle, no contact in the third quarter, I think all the air went out of the team, out of the fans, out of everybody watching in Wisconsin. This is a guy that is irreplaceable. There are a couple guys on this Packers team that you can't replace. Micah Parsons is one of those guys, and along with him going down for the season, it is now, what are their Super Bowl chances? What are their playoff chances? So a lot of big picture questions Green Bay now has to answer and prove, now that they don't have Micah Parsons. But this is, guys, a massive loss for not only Green Bay, but for the NFL.
Dan, I'll tell you what, when he went down, it reminded me, and I get it, Aiden Hutchinson went down at the beginning of the season, but still the same type of impact to the roster, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about playmakers, guys that can change a game on one snap, get after the quarterback, and that's what you pay the guys big bucks to do. That's what they paid that record-setting contract to Parsons to do. And look, when the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson last year, they lost a lot in terms of their pass rush. And I know Green Bay has other guys that can get after the quarterback, but that is a game-changing player that won't be there. Detroit certainly had to deal with that last year, but I'm sure Green Bay will do the same thing Detroit did. Their coaches are going to tell them, look, there's other guys on this team that are going to step in. They might not be named Micah Parsons, but they can go out and do the job. And you've got to believe that that's the case because they've put themselves in a great position still. They just need to finish this season, get in, and then anything can happen.
All right, here's inside the Packers locker room after that Broncos game.
We all know what type of player he is and the impact he's had on our football team. And to lose somebody like that is, I mean, it's tough. But there's, like I said, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to find a way, and guys got to rally around one another.
Hurt to see. We'll be missed on this defense. It hurt, bro. It hurt.
It's extremely devastating, you know what I'm saying, from an individual standpoint. Like, you know what I'm saying, I'm hurting for him.
That's what it is in football. You know, sometimes things happen. It's next man up, and, you know, we got to hold everybody to the same standard.
I mean, the season ain't over, so we still got work to do, but we still got a chance to do what we want to do.
Lily, you know Micah Parsons better than I do. Parsons thinks he'll be back by next September. It's a 9-month to a year recovery for a torn ACL. Are you betting on Parsons or against him for the start of next season?
Yeah, you always have to bet on Micah Parsons, right? I don't think, he's talking out of jest when he says September. But listen, that's going to be a remarkable recovery because when you talk about a torn ACL on a pass rusher versus a quarterback versus a receiver, it's all very different. And what he's able to do with his legs and to rush and to pivot, that's what he's going to have to really get comfortable with once he does recover from a torn ACL. And as of right now, he's not gotten the surgery. Matt LaFleur doesn't know when he will get said surgery, but you see right there, he said, "This is my greatest test." He says, "I will rise again," and he put out a post saying September, which he wants to return. So you can't count out Micah Parsons for wanting to be back in 9 months. I think it'll be an unprecedented return for him if he is back that soon, but maybe he's not really saying the start of September, maybe the end of September for more wiggle room, but you have to believe that he will try his darndest to be back in that time frame.
All right, I can tell you as a Bears fan, as a Bears reporter here in Chicago, I wish Micah Parsons was playing in this game on Saturday. I want the Bears to go up against the best. He's good for the NFL. He's good for Green Bay. I get it. He is going to be missed by everyone in the league. Bears, in the meantime, they're focused, determined. They took care of business against the Browns. No trap game, no letdown. These players, what I've learned is they have way too much respect for this head coach, this coaching staff as a whole, and frankly for themselves. The leadership in this Bears locker room, and it's something we have not seen in these parts since going back to the 2018 season when the Bears won the division and they had guys like Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Cody Whitehair, Kyle Long, Allen Robinson, the veteran at wide receiver, and those guys were running the show. On the field, I need to point this out. Defense played great, really did a number on Cleveland, but I thought Caleb Williams had his best game as a pro against what was supposed to be a real good defense, especially against the pass, and they have football's best pass rusher. All right, Myles Garrett. Williams was in command throughout. He ran through his progressions, no problem, no pre-snap issues. This guy's accuracy was pinpoint, completed over 60% of his passes, first time in 7 games that happened. And he would have thrown for over 300 yards. He threw for like 242, would have been over 300 if not for a bunch of drops in the first half. And for a guy who barely ran play action and ran mostly out of the shotgun before Ben Johnson got here to Chicago, this guy's running play action to perfection. Doesn't hurt that the Bears also had the league's second best run game as well. Dan, I'm going to go back to you, and then I want to bring in Ahmad. Dan, Lions had a 10-point lead at the half in L.A. What the heck happened against the Rams?
Yeah, listen, the start of the second half really doomed them. They came out, they had been scoring. They put up 24 points in the first half. They scored really on each of their possessions except for a missed field goal. So you can look at all their possessions in the first half where they had a chance to score. Came out in the second half, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and you can't do that against the best teams in this league, in particular against a team that has Matthew Stafford at quarterback, and the Rams just kind of rolled past them at that point. They went from 10 down to 10 up, and the Lions were fighting from behind for the rest of the game. So there's a cautionary tale in there about the way that you have to play against the top teams in this league, and the Lions didn't meet that standard. So it was offense, it was defense, because if your offense is struggling, your defense can still get stops. That afternoon in Los Angeles, they didn't do it. So it was a full-team loss where things got away from them early in that second half.
Dan, what I love about head coach Dan Campbell, he says it like it is. And I'm going to quote him here. He said, "It can't be okay. It should burn at you. It should eat you up. Do not go numb to losing." Do the Lions players feel like their head coach after a loss like that in L.A.?
Oh, I think they do, because, look, you're still dealing with a lot of guys that have been here for the 2 division titles in the last 2 years. The problem has just been consistency. They've not put together back-to-back wins in 9 weeks. Now you're looking at it that they have to win 3 in a row to get to the playoffs. So I definitely think they feel it. The question is, what can you do about it? Can you get your execution to the point where you can go out there and beat a good team in Pittsburgh, come back and beat a team that roughed you up earlier this year in Minnesota, and then get to what might be a winner-take-all type game against Chicago in the final week of the season? We don't know what that'll be yet. But to even get there and for that to matter, they've got to win the next 2. And to even get there and for that to matter, they got to beat Pittsburgh on Sunday. So it's one game against the Steelers that matters right now.
Pittsburgh and a red-hot Aaron Rodgers after the Monday Nighter. Vikings eliminated Akeem from playoff contention earlier on Sunday. But J.J. McCarthy, 2 solid showings in a row. Do Vikings fans just need to be more patient with McCarthy?
Well, you know, Lou, that if you remember some previous shows that I was on earlier this season, that's what I kept preaching to Vikings fans. Like, you can't write off a guy after 5 or 6 starts in the National Football League. Again, this is the best of the best you're talking about. So I think some people are still starting to turn the corner on him. They're a little optimistic about years come, but you know how fans are. They want to see how well he does in these final 3 games of the season before they write him in and pencil him in as a starter for the future, or if they still need to bring in some competition this offseason. But nonetheless, he's been phenomenal the last 2 games, 5 touchdowns to that 1 interception. And that 1 interception was really a lucky break for Quinnen Williams. The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. So J.J. McCarthy has been flawless lately. 120 QBR rating, getting the ball out of his hands and letting his playmakers go make plays.
You know, arguably best game of his career in that Dallas contest. Did he say why he's played so well the last 2 weeks?
I think if you ask some people, they will just say, well, he's playing some of the worst defenses in the National Football League. And I think if you ask J.J. McCarthy, he'll just say things are starting to slow down just a little bit for him. You know, he's getting the ball out of his hands. He's not trying to do too much. Head coach Kevin O'Connell told him to stop overthinking and just play football. Get the ball out of your hands, play pitch and catch. And I think that's something we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Dan, I saw you laughing. We've heard that too often. Hey, D-tackle Lee McNeil, Dan, and DJ Reed, they struggled in that Rams game. And Reed's had a tough 4-game stretch. Tell me if I'm wrong. Or is it really that the Rams' offense is just really good?
No, listen, I don't want to take anything away from the Rams. They're a really good team. And let me just say, the reason that I'm laughing is that nobody's cutting this kid a break at all. Right. And I think some of it dates back to that video in that locker room after the Detroit game, which was kind of gross, and they should probably burn that thing forever. But look, he's looked a lot better and played some good football. That he deserves some credit there, regardless of who you're playing against. Those are NFL players. But back to the Lions. Look, give the Rams credit. They blew them off the line of scrimmage, ran up the middle, ran to the outside. The Lions have to be better. Aleem McNeil's got to be better. DJ Reader's got to be better. Tyleik Williams has got to be better. All their guys on the defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson. Everybody has to be better. You can't get blown up for 5.5 yards a carry because that only makes Matthew Stafford better. So one of the strengths of this team for the past several years has been that they have been a top 10 team against the run. Really good. That's slipping. That's fading. They got to find that again because in this league, if you can't stop the run, you're already behind the 8 ball, and it gets really tough after that.
Hey, quickly, give me a minute here because I heard Jared Goff on 97.1 The Ticket, Carson Anderson, that morning show, and he talked about fans who just don't think it's going to happen this year for the Lions. Goff wasn't happy to hear that some Lions fans are giving up on this team. Tell me where most Lions fans are. Are they still behind the Lions as we get set for this 3-game stretch?
Oh, I think they are. No doubt about that. I think what Jared's saying is, look, we've won a lot of games. Give us a break here. We still have life. We still have an ability to go out there and put 3 wins together. I think what fans, some of them are saying there's a frustration right now. Since they were 4-1, they've not won 2 games in a row over the past couple of years, really dating back to 2022. We've become accustomed to seeing this team go on long runs. They just haven't found that run this year. Is there a little bit of question among fans as to whether or not they can do that? Yeah, I think that there is. And I think Jared's reaction is, come on, man, just hang with us. Let's see if we can get this done. And he's not going to let any of that permeate that locker room and inject doubt into that group that they can go out there and win the next 3. They want to believe that they can do that. They understand what this challenge is going to be. And I do think they do believe, Lou, that they can do that. That's the Dan Campbell effect on this team. They're not going to go in feeling down or sorry for themselves or anything like that.
I appreciated his reaction when told about fans jumping off the bandwagon. I'm not going to say what he said on the air on the radio, but I said, man, I haven't seen Jared Goff fired up like that. We need to take
Jared listens to what you're saying. He'll fire back at you, believe me.
I like it.
He's ready.
All right, we need to take a timeout. We dive into all the injury news around the division. We're going to break down the road ahead for the Bears, Lions, and Packers next right here on First and North.
It's the final word for Chicago sports fans.
This is what we wanted to see from the Bears.
Chicago Sports Tonight, covering the big plays.
Touchdown Bears!
And the next moves. Join Lou, Cassie, and Tina. Chicago Sports Tonight, weeknights at 9:30 on Fox 32 Chicago.
All right, we're back here on First and North. Lou Canellis with you at the home of the Bears, Fox 32 in Chicago. Dan Miller, is in Detroit. Fox 2 Detroit. Dan, the play-by-play voice of the Lions, the home of the Lions. Lily Zhao at Fox 6 Milwaukee, and Ahmad Hicks at Fox 9 Minneapolis. All right, we talked earlier about the injury to Micah Parsons. I want to bring in Akeem here because Akeem, Vikings lost edge rusher Jonathan Greenard. This guy had a pretty good season as well, and he's done for the rest of the year. He's going to have surgery on his injured shoulder. It's a great opportunity now for Dallas Turner, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a prime opportunity for Dallas Turner, who I still think needs to showcase a couple of things when it comes to stopping the run and showing a counter move for his power speed rush that he has. But, nothing but opportunities moving forward for him. And kudos to Jonathan Greenard. He suffered a pretty severe shoulder injury a couple of weeks back, tried to gut it out for this team. He told me he thought he was done a couple of weeks ago when he first suffered this injury, but he tried to give it a go as long as he could. Now he's going to get that thing repaired and hopefully come back stronger next year. But this is why you drafted Dallas Turner in the first round of the draft last year. He has to go out there and prove he's a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, and he's got 5.5 sacks right now. All right, Bears could be without two of their top three receivers for Saturday's big game with the Packers. Rome Odunze, that's Caleb Williams' top target. He's been dealing with chronic foot issues in the second half of this season. He was cleared to play last Sunday against Cleveland, felt pain in the foot during pregame warm-ups and was ruled out. What's worrisome is Ben Johnson said all options are on the table, and let's hope that one of those options isn't shelving him for the rest of this season. Rookie Luther Burden III, he left the game with an ankle injury. He could miss the Packers game. That's not good news. Kyler Gordon, he was placed back on injured reserve last week before the Cleveland contest, meaning he'll miss the final 4 regular season games, but could be back for the playoffs. And there is some good news for the Bears when it comes to injuries. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, he returned to practice this week, had a bad groin injury. He was hurt in the win at Minnesota, and the Bears went 3-1 without him because backup DeMarco Jackson's been solid. Jackson had a pick, a sack in the win over the Browns, 15 tackles in another game. It's been a real nice fill-in for the Bears. Lily, let's go back to Green Bay. What's the latest on Christian Watson and his chest injury?
Yeah, it all looked like when he initially went down on that Jordan Love pick, it looked like it was a shoulder, collarbone. I think everyone was assuming the worst, that he might be done for the year, but very optimistic news regarding Christian Watson. It's not a long-term injury. It's not an IR consideration for Watson, but his status this weekend is not going to be known until later in the week, but the Packers are encouraged. They're going to give him up to game time to see if he will play. It's all about really tolerating the pain and the functionality with that shoulder. Matt LaFleur was asked, is it a chest injury? Is it a shoulder injury? What is it? And he said all of the above. So Christian Watson really going through it, but he's one of those key guys where when you saw him not on the field, this offense really floundered. So they need him back. Whether or not he plays against the Bears is to be seen, but it is encouraging news that if he does miss the game against the Bears, he won't be out long term, which is nice.
They're still loaded at wide receiver, right? Michael Golden, Jaden Reed's back, Wicks, right?
Yeah, they're getting there, but you can't replace Christian Watson. But again, you do need more production out of a Romeo Doubs, a Dontavian Wicks. They want to get Matthew Golden more involved. So there are guys out there that Christian Watson or that Jordan Love can throw to. But I think another big guy to kind of look forward to is Zach Tom. What's the status with his knee injury? Because when he went down, that Broncos pass rush really got to Jordan Love in the second half and prevented that offense, which was looking really good against one of the best defenses in the NFL in that first half. They really took control there without Zach Tom protecting Jordan Love's right side. So curious to see what his status will be. He's dealing with a knee injury, and again, he will be given up to game time to see if he can play.
Dan, give us the injury update in Detroit before that game with the Steelers.
Yeah, probably the one we're watching is Amik Robertson. He injured his hand in the game against the Rams. They gave him an MRI. They're going to let him practice this week. They're going to have to see how he reacts when he practices and how he feels the next day and how he feels going through the week. But that's a tough one for the Lions right now because you're already missing their 2 starting safeties in Branch and Kirby Joseph. Terry and Arnold, one of their starting cornerbacks, done for the year. He had surgery. So you are really thin in that defensive backfield when you need to be playing your best football of the year. So Amik is the one to keep an eye on. Also Christian Mahogany, one of their starting guards. He worked his way back to practice last week. They could really use him back in the lineup. They got blown up a couple of times where he normally plays last week. So we're keeping an eye on him as well.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, okay now?
Yeah, Saint looks good. I don't think there's any issues there. He had a big game going back home to Los Angeles, and barring anything unforeseen, I think he's ready for this stretch run. I think offensively, decent shape with the skill guys. You'd love to have Sam Laporta. You just don't have him right now. But if they can get Mahogany back on that line, that would be significant for them.
All right, a lot on the line this weekend. If the Lions lose, the winner of the Bears-Packers game gets into the playoffs. Even if the Bears win, they still have two huge games. At San Francisco the following Sunday night, and the 49ers are in their own fight in the NFC West. They're trying to get it into the playoffs, and San Francisco is getting healthy as we speak. And then the Bears wrap up the season. Dan mentioned it earlier, at home, final weekend against the Lions. If Detroit wins Sunday at Pittsburgh, then on Christmas at Minnesota, Bears-Lions Soldier Field, that could be for a spot in the playoffs. And after Detroit embarrassed Ben Johnson back home in Detroit in week 2, posting 52 points on Ben and the Bears, well, I think the Bears will be looking for Bear, that's for sure. All right, we need to take our final timeout. When we come back, we're going to preview week 16 around the division as we continue here on First and North.
You want to know the NFC North?
It's a heck of a division.
Only one call to make. First and North.
This show's all about homers.
Lou Canellis leads a team of NFC experts.
It is Super Bowl or bust for the Green Bay Packers.
I'm not going to sit here and say that the Bears won't win, but come on now, Lou.
Get locked in for the week ahead.
I think it's the best division of football.
That man knows what he's talking about.
First and North. New episodes Tuesday nights at 6 on Fox Local or stream anytime.
And you too can win the division.
Welcome back to First and North. Matchups for Week 16 in the NFC North. Saturday night, prime time, Bears-Packers, biggest game of the year, right here on Fox. Sunday, Vikings head east. They take on the Giants, looking for their third straight win, those Vikings are. Sunday, second window, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers visit Detroit and the Lions are playing for their playoff lives. Before I bring in Dan to talk about that game, hey, Ahmad, I heard the great news today. I know where I'll be Christmas Day. Halftime in Minnesota, Lions, Vikings, and Snoop Dogg with the show.
Yeah, that'll be a big game. You know, when Byron Murphy Jr. told me their goal now is to be dream killers, in other teams' chances at going to the playoffs. So, Snoop Dogg halftime show and then the great show, against the Lions. So that'll be a good game to look forward to next week.
Can't wait. All right, Dan, Aaron Rodgers, man, guy's still showing he's got it. Last night against the Dolphins, he completed, how about this number, 85%, actually over 85% of his passes, second highest of his career, 224 yards, couple of touchdowns. Does Rodgers worry you this Sunday?
Yeah, the way he played on Monday night against Miami, he does. I mean, there was just some really good recognition on his part, some short, crisp passes, giving guys room to run. Here's the good news about this game. It won't be in Pittsburgh, where Miami looked miserable on Monday night. It'll be 72 degrees inside of Ford Field. So that's the good news. But this is going to be a tough game. Pittsburgh's playing for something. And Aaron Rodgers, no doubt, remembers the last time that he faced the Lions. It was the end of the 2022 season when all they had to do was beat the Lions, who had already been eliminated from the playoff race in the final game of the season, and the Lions beat Green Bay and knocked him out in his final game as a Packer. I guarantee you he remembers that. I guarantee you he'll be looking for some revenge. And he's looking to just prove he's still a playoff quarterback, and he needs this game.
And Dan, remember, most opponents look bad in Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. I think it's 22, 23 wins in a row, right?
I didn't want any part of that. That looked miserable.
It was awful. All right, Lily, how do the Packers emotionally get over the Parsons loss?
Well, they just got to rally, and it's the next man up mentality. Guys are saying, listen, the season's not over. I know fans are panicking, but we're going to have guys that step up. This is still a really good team, but we have to go out against Chicago, primetime Saturday night, and prove it. And listen, this is a really good Bears team. They know that. They know Chicago ran down their throats. So if the defense does struggle without Micah Parsons, it's all on the shoulders of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur to execute their offense and go toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams and that Bears offense. That's what I'm looking forward to. But this Packers team believes they can rally and win one for Micah.
15 seconds, Ahmad. Big game for J.J. McCarthy, right?
taking on another bad defense in the New York Giants and a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart. So Brian Flores will be licking his chops. So maybe the Vikings win 3 in a row. Who knows?
Wow. Great show as always, guys. I'll talk to you next week before Christmas. I'm Lou Canellis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week here on First and North.